the metric conversion. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, I think when you convert it from cubic centimeter to cubic inches, it comes out to like 109 cubic inches.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I started out with a little Harley Sportster, so I do like the V-twins. Oh, those are nice.
I started out with a Honda Shadow 750.
Yeah. Yeah. Something nice to tool around on. You got a little bit of torque, but it's heavy, but not so much. It's like, ooh, you're gonna be in some serious trouble. That was me leaving my driveway. But okay, yeah, I am just a big bag of red water. I'm gonna take it real easy and stop riding that thing for a little while. Yeah. Also, head injuries. Sometimes you knock some sense into yourself. Like that phrase right there. It's like, yeah, very real sentiment.
We wearing a helmet?
Oh yeah, I split that thing right in half.
Oh,
Yeah. Like I don't know, but I went airborne. Like I don't remember any of that. All I remember is a green field. Apparently my son had to go and resuscitate me a little bit. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm still here. All right. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 people online. Got 2 here in person. I probably should look to see what our numbers were so I'd know if I was waiting for anybody, but I was lazy this morning. Have not done that yet. I'll figure out a way to start doing roll call for this class, probably by next class. Mainly just because of the fact I don't keep up with attendance this first week because it's still registration, that kind of stuff around. But also, us having these 2 different formats, I don't want to just do a call out for grades. That works as you got like less than 15 people in the class always. It's just, it does take a chunk of time. Eventually I'll get to where I recognize everybody. It's actually easy. I can actually probably do that pretty easily. I just create a checklist for me and run through the names. But you'd have to log in as your name whenever you log into Blackboard. So if we do it that way, you might have to change your names on there, but don't worry about that. I guess unless you want a superhero name, we just have to do a vote in here and maybe hit a sign for you guys if you want one. Like mine was I tried to float this one for my wife for I forget which kid it was. It was one of the 5. The first name would be the middle name Incredible. Just did not like that. The Incredible works, but that one I like. All right. Actually, this is a syllabus from the last class. I need to change that over. So we need to talk about a number of things today. So welcome to, this is policing, right? Okay, just double checking.
yeah. Surveying American Police.
Yeah, Surveying American Policing. So excellent. So we're in the right place. I'm in the right place, and I at least have the right content in mind right now. I'm in here all day. I don't know. And so if you're online, I assume that you access Blackboard or you got my email I sent out this morning where I said, hey, I put the Zoom information in Blackboard, so it's all there. That link will work throughout the entire semester. In fact, it'll even work whenever the class isn't technically in session since they're scheduled out. What will happen is if you accidentally click into it, it will act as if you're logging into the next class, like you're just waiting there. And sometimes it will record you, so be careful with that. If you're online, don't go clicking into it and that kind of thing if you're not paying attention, because it's like, yeah, an errant recording. I made a joke about this last class, but apparently nobody likes Joe Rogan over there. There was a Joe Rogan special on Netflix I saw the other day, and it's like he was making jokes about COVID and the online stuff and how many people lost their careers because, hey, they didn't realize the camera was still on. It's like, yeah, it's a very real thing. He also identifies like mainly dudes. It's like, yeah, guys cause trouble. Like, that's a methods thing. I can show you the IQ curves there, and you'll see exactly why that takes place. It's like, yeah. Guys, you got some smart ones. We're offset by the number of dumb ones. It's like where I'm at any one given point in time is anywhere in that whole spectrum. That's what it is to be a guy. It's like, for this one, I'm gonna go slide this right over here. This one, I'm gonna be smart on this. But that's fun. We'll talk about that kind of stuff too. Here in this class, what happens is that kind of comes up when you start talking about society and some social issues. Because those things do actually have a great big bearing for the number of things we do here. Let's see. So in terms of things for class, be here live and in person if you can. If you can't be here in person, be live because it's nice to be alive. If you can't do that, these classes will get recorded and put into Blackboard so you can attend that way. So if you ever miss a class, it's like, don't worry about it. You can catch up. That's the good thing about this is To some degree, it's like, I think we're starting to figure things out from a structural standpoint. It's like you have classes in person, in online synchronous, online non-synchronous. Well, if you do it this way, you can actually have all three in a single class kind of thing. And so you're not doubling up and everybody's having to manage what classes where, that kind of stuff. So it makes it a little easier. But with that in mind, it's like that interaction is very, very vital. One is sort of like, imagine life if you deprived yourself of social interaction with others. Realize that we're social animals. I'm a big fan of dogs because they do it really well. It's like, if you don't learn how to play, then you don't learn how to fight, right? It's like, you got kids, so you probably, stronger it is, right? You're the same thing, right? There's like, we're gonna play, but what play is gonna look like today is I'm gonna grab you by the arm and you need to get loose, right? If you don't get loose, I'm gonna pin you to the ground and I'm gonna make fun of you. Right, that's what I do. I'm mean. But yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's like we need to learn how to do that in this realm just as well as you do that anywhere else, because this is the mind kind of thing. And once you learn how to play, you're good to go. This area is really important because this is the area where we decide whether or not someone's done something that requires us to leverage the entire governmental system against them, right? Every person who wears the badge, every person who carries the gun, it's like, yes, realize they're authorized to have the ability to control life and death. Like, that's just right off the bat. And it's like, once you start to put yourself in that position, it's like, okay, think of all the different circumstances where that singular issue is going to come right back up, right? Right? It's like you're going to have to go into something nasty. Some people there might not like you. You don't know any of these people at all. How much do they not like you? Might they want to kill you? Maybe. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And so we'll talk about that, and you'll see trainings and stuff like that. Let's see here. What else do I need to talk about? I need to pull up Blackboard stuff. All right, cool. Could be a connection issue. So if you are on, let's say, screen 2, share, and that makes it easier for you all to see, but now I can't see it. I'm with this mode. This, wait, because that's the last class. And this one, we're gonna go a little bit bigger, so that way you can actually see it. And so you'll see here, this is class. Welcome to class. So this is the notes that went out this morning. Yeah, I actually sent that at 3 this morning. I went to bed at 5. Hey.
I've been up since 6 p.m. yesterday.
I like it. I like it. Good. Good. You're already in criminal justice field to some degree?
Yes,
That's what it is.
I was military police in the Navy. I worked for the Muscogee County Sheriff's Department for a year, and I currently work as an armed security officer for Cherokee Nation at the at Hastings in the clinics.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what it is. That's something that's within this discipline. I haven't figured out whether that's just like the people that go into the field or whether that's just something the field does to you. I was never in the field. I don't know why I'm this way. I'm just weird. It's like, good golly, I feel like I got stuff to do all the time. I'm really got motivation to do it. That's gonna be a long conversation there. Things get you fired up and you get stuff done. And so, yeah, so that's going on. If you ever need to reach me, we'll talk about that real quick, because that's gonna be communication stuff and syllabus. I am very hard to get a hold of because I am constantly bouncing around like that. I tend to move from one project to another for a while, and so what'll end up happening is, I'm gonna go into something for like a day or two, and I'll just be out of communication, because it's like, if I turn away from this thing, the amount of time it's gonna take for me to get back to where I'm at right now to understand what I'm doing is gonna be more than the time I invested. It's like, so I can't break away, that kind of thing. And so if you need me, I try to aim for a 1-day turnaround on email. If you just happenstance, I'm in my email, and send me an email, I see it right there, I'll usually respond right away. But that's become exceedingly rare. What usually ends up happening is I'm lucky if it's 1 day, usually it's 2. Sometimes I'm lucky if it's 2. And if it's more than 2, you should forward it back to me and say, hey, where you at? And if you've done that once or twice and you haven't got a response from me, in the syllabus, in this message right here, if I scroll down, you can see it right there. That's my cell phone number. Syllabus has it listed too. Feel free to send me a text, say, hey, I need something, right? I check the text messages every now and then. I've got I've got 5 kids, so sometimes I take off my phone or I lose stuff because I almost want to make a joke to the cyber people about DDoSs. That you can do that with people too. Yeah, so sometimes that thing will disappear. So if you don't hear from me right away, it's like just kind of keep it up. Text messages, usually I respond pretty quickly. If you just call me out of the blue, I won't recognize your phone number, so I probably won't answer it because yeah, I don't answer that. Yeah, that's not good. So if you do that, leave me a voicemail and I'll hear that and I'll get a call. Text message is probably one of the easiest, quickest way to get me. Try to use that for emergencies. What those are, like if you need something fast, like let's say it's procedures affecting the class or something like that, of course, that's an emergency. Related to processes here at the university, that's an emergency. You got in a car wreck, you are in emergency. Don't worry about me at all. It's like this shouldn't even register. It's like you got other stuff that's more important. Take care of that. We'll catch up at some point. That happens every now and again because that's life. I could tell you, I kind of was telling you guys a story a little bit at the beginning. It's like that was me last year. Super Bowl Sunday, finished up with grading, decided to take a little short motorcycle ride. Made it all of 20 yards out of my house before I crashed it. How that happened? Don't be tired and ride a motorcycle. Not smart. You need balance. Don't go when you're unbalanced, I guess. Tired. It's like, yeah. So what ended up happening there? Couple surgeries, bunch of other stuff. It's like, yeah, that's nice. And so, like, life happens. So long as you're making an effort, you're doing what you need to be doing, and you're moving forward, that's all I want to see. I just want to see growth. And that's sort of like when we start talking about points in here, how it's allocated. It's like points matter for the system, points matter for, at certain thresholds, they'll use that as ways to grade people. But really what matters is that you grow, you get as much out of the class as you can, and you learn as much as you can while you're here. To some degree, that's time. That's a bigger lesson I try to give people is this: don't rush stuff. It's like go fast, but don't rush. I'm gonna make a joke like this one. Marksmanship. Don't be fast, be smooth. Right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're doing things smooth, it's like, everything's taking care of itself. You can actually hit the damn thing. And so that time doesn't really matter because the first 6 shots you make, you're not gonna be all over the place. You'll actually hit them with that first one probably. Oh my God, I actually want to talk about that for a second. I'm talking about that. This is way off topic. I do this a lot in this class, or in a lot of classes, just because sometimes interesting things come up. While we're talking about marksmanship and shooting. Has there been any shooting that's been on the news recently, in the last couple months? Anything that was gunshots, people of importance, anything like that? No? Got an assassination a couple months back. Or was there a couple
You guys
months
about
back?
Donald Trump?
Yeah. It's like, that's one of those things that's like, okay, so politics involved. It's like, I really don't care about that. I'll smack the other side. I'm not a big politics person. I think it's stupid. But what was really interesting is whenever that took place, is like they start talking about those distances. The first thing I thought was like, he's got a rifle. Like with iron sights, I could hit anyone size target at that kind of distance. It's like that's not particularly hard. You know what kind of setup he had? It was a red dot. He basically was doing iron sights. Dude was like a little bit more than a football field. Not iron sights, but red dot clips the guy's ear. Doesn't miss, actually hits him, just doesn't kill him, not very effective. It's like, okay. My understanding of what happened there is completely different because if you'd had a scope, that former president would be dead. Yeah. Right. And so it's like that's what happened there. That's why that guy's alive today, is because inferior tool sets to some degree, inferior skill sets. Not really that bad of a skill set if you think about it, because he's using just a little red dot. It's probably the dot itself is just as wide as it's like, good God, that is so evil. And then if you want to really get evil, we'll talk about news coverage related to it, but that's a completely different story, which at some point we will get into when we start talking about the actual stuff, because it will come back up. Because it's on both sides. It's one of those things that this is the system, depending on who you're reading, what you want to key into, what this is to some degree, this is the embodiment of the system, the people who work in these areas. They're the ones who are the agents of social movement. Why? The law changes, they're the ones who go out and enforce it. To some degree, it's like that can come with force. We'll talk about some of those dangers as we move forward, because some of those dangers are starting to look more and more real as we move forward. And that's a really, really scary time. So the importance of these topics that we're going to get into today in this class, existential, crisis is the phrase that gets thrown around a lot when you start talking about politics. That's not where it will be. It'll be over here. All right. So that's a little bit of welcome to class. Next up, start here. And so this is your welcome message. Check Blackboard probably twice a week. Eventually what'll happen is, it probably won't be this week, it'll probably be maybe next week or the week after. I'll put up almost everything in the class. Sometimes I even put up everything in the class, so you can just work at your own pace. It just depends on what we're doing in this class and what you guys want to do in terms of projects and that kind of stuff. Here, I don't think I have any term papers listed, but if we want one, we can take a vote, see if you guys are interested in that. If not, we won't have it in the class. If you are interested in outside of class and the class doesn't want to do that, we'll make sure that there's some opportunities there for you if you want to start working on some stuff. Let's see here. So, you find skills, course overview. This is the class. Everybody, got a name typo. I thought I changed that. I'm going to change that right now to see how this stuff works. It's the same thing as everything else you worked out online. Survey. All right. All right. Back to it. Welcome to class. This is the class. So 4 tests, 4 assignments, 4 quizzes, attendance, and participation. So we've got broken up into 4 sections. Each section will have an assignment, a quiz, and the exam at the end. Depending on timelines and that kind of stuff, I've got them in the here, and I'll show it to you in a second, where it's, I'll say proposed, because we tend to talk, and as we're getting the subject, sometimes that conversation is more important than the timeline. So if that's the case, it's like, yeah, if we go to the timeline, we'll have that conversation. What do I want to tell you? In terms of due dates, they'll have their specific due dates list. I leave stuff open in here. I don't tend to close things out really ever. So just make sure you do the work. I get a little frustrated when you move into a new section and you're not done with the last one, though. Particularly like we're at the end of the next section. You're asking me about stuff about the last one. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put feet to fire here. I don't need to do that for you. It's like, start walking, that kind of a thing. So we need to move forward there. Quizzes, tests, and assignments, what they'll look like. Quizzes will be multiple choice. Usually I tend to make those unlimited attempts. That way you can try them as many times as you want to learn as much of the material as you want to test yourself as many times as you want. Highest grade is what sticks. Exams, usually those are one shot, usually 90 minutes on those, 45 questions, multiple choice, 1 10-point essay. Yeah. And so you'll always have at least a week to do any of that stuff. I never open up something to give you less than a week to do it. Sometimes I'll open it up and it'll be like, that assignment or that test or assignment, whatever it is for section 3 is already out there. We're still in section 2. It's like that kind of, that's how I like to do it. So I don't have to think about it later. And you guys aren't waiting for me. Sometimes that can happen too. Let's see. What else I want to talk about? Attendance participation. Yeah, be here if you can. If you can't, watching the class where I post up the link in Blackboard, that'll work because that'll track it too. If you miss classes, feel free to click over there. I won't give you extra points for watching if you weren't here or anything like that, but I'll see it, that kind of stuff. So that's how that will work. If you've got questions, ask. At times there'll be times where we have good God. At times we'll have talks about things that are political in nature, and if it's all right to take a side, it is. So long as you're open to having a critique. That's the best thing about higher education, is it's not in learning about the ground you're standing on. It's about learning about the rest of the ground and then realizing you're standing over a great big chasm. If you're not familiar with both sides of any argument, you're gonna fall. It's the big thing. It's like, that's it right there. Understand the ground that you're on, the territory. Always understand. And so this one, there's some dangerous topics that we'll have in here. It's not gonna be as bad as criminal law, because when we start talking about that, it's like some of the arguments that'll come up there and some of the ways you have to establish stuff are pretty nasty. Here you don't have to do that. And the nasty stuff is what people do, not what people say so much. Sometimes that still does come up. I know, so it will matter how we approach the topics. And so, we'll try to give it its due diligence there. But also, these are difficult topics to deal with. Course learning objectives. There's a whole bunch of those. They make us put those on there. It says demonstrate debate, reflect, internalize. I guess I want change. I need to do journaling. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll make some independent stuff. Journaling. Soft points there. Tell me some stuff. Okay, so chapter 1 is open now. Yeah. Meet faculty. That's a little bit about me. Big stuff here is right here. Here on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll be in class most of the day, except for from noon to 1. And then I'll just be up one flight of stairs. If you take the stairwell over here, I'm just kind of like to the left. You'll go to the stairwell, you'll see a doorway and another pathway. It's like go to the doorway, turn left. Tuesdays, I'll also be here 9 to 3 is what I'm saying here. Unless I sleep in, then it'll be 10 to 4. Sometimes that can happen. I'm trying to regulate sleep. I'm doing better in some ways, worse than others than last year. Last year I could just run because I hadn't put myself through a whole lot of times where I've been depriving myself of sleep. So I could run a whole lot. Now this year I'm having to deal with the fact I did last year. I just crash out and fall asleep sometimes. Like it's horrible. It's like you're just working on a computer and you wake up and 3 hours have gone by and you're kind of drooling. It's like, oh, that's not good. I'm not done. You know, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I'm all over the place. If you need me, that's when you should try to find me. If you need me outside of that, we can make appointments. I don't think I mentioned this one. I'm also a coordinator for the master's program. I haven't gotten rid of me yet, at least. I figured that'll happen when they find someone who does it better or wants it more. I said or, not and. It's good. Basically, what I was going to say there is that means that if you need like after hour or something like that, I can open that up for you too. And in fact, I've got a couple students I'm trying to meet with regularly at like 6, 7 o'clock on weeknights, that kind of thing. I say trying to because that's scheduled stuff between professional emergencies, the personal emergencies, and just life itself. It's like, oh my goodness. Sometimes things get bounced around a little bit. So as long as we're moving forward, that's all that matters. Let's see. If I scroll down over here, you'll see an old picture of me where I'm catfishing. That's not what I would like. Netiquette, you guys know how to talk to people. Technology, you guys know all this. If you have any issues with any of this stuff, let me know. Yeah, some technical help, that kind of stuff. From there, we'll go into syllabus. And so this will have our syllabus information. So the link above contains information for, is that an actual link? Yeah, that takes you to the policies page. That's good to have there. That top one has the syllabus attached, and that's what we want to pay attention to today. What makes it so small? Keep zooming in. Hey, look, I spelled it right here. Way to toot my own horn. I can spell sometimes. Only sometimes. You'll notice that as we start writing stuff on the board, my spelling is atrocious. My handwriting's worse. So you can tell what I'm spelling. You'll notice that I spell it wrong. But usually I try to write to where you can't tell at all. Yeah, that's what doctors do. It's actually part of the training. It's worse in medical school. They train you to write with chicken scratch. That way someone has to struggle to read what it is that you've actually written. It's all about that. It's about how difficult you make it for someone to consume what it is that you put forward. That's why we sometimes speak in Latin too. I'm getting really snarky now. All right. All right, so I've already talked about contact information. I got that there where it says for emergency use only. There's my cell phone number. Let's see, 3 credit hours, you know what the class is. Course delivery methods, I've got all of them listed because this one does all of them. You can be here face-to-face, synchronous online, or if you can't make it synchronous, asynchronous is an option. I don't recommend that though. Someone should be here because when we start having conversations, when we start talking about things, sometimes I'll do stuff just to make it to where you want to chime in. I might say something really, really flagrant and I might lie to you at times, right? I'm not opposed to that. My favorite one I didn't do here because it was really offensive. So anything I've done here that's offensive, I don't talk about. No, I'm just kidding. No, what I did over there was it was a policing class. This probably would have been back in like 2014, something like that, maybe 2015. I had a class of students and we were talking about 9/11, and so I was talking about the people who died in 9/11. Counts for the people in the building, counts the people in the plane, and then I lied to them about Oh, and that plane that went down in Pennsylvania, those numbers aren't counted because those people fought back. So the way they look at that is they don't count those numbers because that's not necessarily a terrorist thing. That was actually because the conflict in there pissed everybody off. Yeah, it's very easy to get pissed off if someone's lying to you. Those numbers count. Those people count. They died in that. That was a terrorist thing. Why would you believe me? Is it because I'm standing here? Don't believe me. It's better if you don't, right? Go out and be like, this seems like bullshit. I'm gonna go look. Yes, go do that. Right? And if you got a good argument or you see something that's out there that disagrees, it's like, bring it up. Why? Because then the conversation gets better. The best thing about these fields is the integration of conflicting information. As things conflict all over the place. I'll make it, shit, I meant to mention this. Sorry about bad language. I talk horrible. I'm working on it though. I'm gonna mention the criminal law class. It's sort of like this. If you're dealing with like, someone's lying to you, you can't tell someone's lying to you. It's like, how do you tell someone who's the difference between someone who's honest and someone who's lying? It's like, good God, those things look exactly the same if you're paying attention, right? Let's say, we'll do it from a business perspective. I'm going to give a task to person A and person B. Okay. How's it going? Oh, it's going great. It's going great. Okay. Well, it's due in a couple weeks. Things move. A couple weeks goes by. How'd it go? Oh, well, this one went off. This thing's atrocious in a train wreck. What happened over here? That person was lying. This person wasn't. The whole way through, though, I'm hearing how great it's going. Everything's looking real good. Yeah, that person was lying to you. This person who's being honest was telling you the same things. You won't know until you get to that end goal of what actually happened. Sometimes a hell of a thing, and sometimes it's really hard. And so, part of this process too is how time's going to be involved. Keep that in mind for how things progress, because as you start watching time and how things move across time, if you're doing investigations, that kind of stuff, what changes? Like, yeah, because if stuff changes, then you can start putting together what changed in what ways, and I'm going to start classifying those things to see which things get supported. Oh, yeah, it looks like you're doing more stuff wrong over here, you know, that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of how you do that a little bit. See, work hour, you know, workload, that kind of thing. You guys know that basically they said there's some math you're supposed to spend a set number of hours outside of class in class material. It's like if basically what I'll tell you is that you get what you put into it. Always the case. You want to put a lot more time into it, you get a lot more out of it. That just is what it is. It's sort of like sometimes I'm running out of time. No, I'm not running out of time, so I'm just let out early. Best way I've ever heard it, put in terms of life, in terms of careers and that kind of thing. I forget who it was because I listened to so many different things. But someone was describing it's like there's a big pile of money over here. Everyone would be going after it and there would be no problems. It's like the problem is there is no big piles of money over here that's just readily accessible. Well, that's not exactly the case. There's all kinds of resources everywhere. You just have to figure out how to build it into a big pile of money, right? That kind of a thing. Like this. It's like that's one of those ways you do it. You leverage efforts over time. But we'll get into that when we get into that particular stuff that we have you do in class. And you'll see that. Class meeting times, this one's 10 to 11, all those different ways. Here you need to be an intro, you need to have an intro. We'll learn about American policing. So the history, practices, what's going on right now, strategies, basically, I say survey, yeah, overview is basically what we're talking about here, an overview of what's going on in policing. And it's not all roses, you guys know that. I mean, if I just said something like, you know, was it the Ferguson or George Floyd effect, that thing's like 10 years old and you guys still recognize that. Or not George Floyd, but Michael Brown. George Floyd's a more recent name. That one's only what, 5 years old now?
2019, 2020.
Yeah, that one's 5 years old now. You still recognize it. It's one of those things that that's itself its own conversation on how the impacts that things have and how we send stuff towards negative. But it's like, yeah, this is one where people get scared. There's a lot of liability. You get a lot of power, and if you're doing it upright and straightforward, the burdens that come with this are significant. You bear those. If you don't, you're going to be evil. Like that's what's going to happen real fast because you'll use that power right for you. But we'll get into that at some point too. So this is a follow-up introductory course designed for review of key research. Criminal justice. That's actually the wrong thing right there. I need to update that. I don't know how that got in there. That's for a different class. That's ethics. I haven't taught that class in a couple of years. I'll change that out. Give me probably about an hour and a half. I'll get that changed out. So the purpose of this one is going to align more with this right here. Demonstrate American policing, understanding the concepts, vocabulary, strategies, history, state of affairs. This one right here, be able to civilly debate. That's a thing that's not really so prevalent in our society right now, right? And a lot of people, it's like that polarization of stuff. I don't get that because if you really look at people, it's like most people clump right around that middle. The things that separate them are very, very small. So why are we splitting? Instructional strategies, we use a whole bunch. I like to talk, I like to debate. I'll have you read stuff, I'll have you do some things. Where's my mouse at? There we go. Here's what the book looks like. That's I think that's the current version. I don't know. I have to double check that. It's been a while since I updated that picture. So hopefully that picture is still the same. But that information should be what's same as what you find over at Barnes and Noble. Anything you say about that? No. No, this is one you probably need the textbook for this one. Grading scales, here you go, 100-point exams, 20-point quizzes, 20-point assignments, attendance participation. So it breaks down like that. Right here. I don't adjust grades. Your grades what you earn, not what I give you. I don't give anybody anything. I just tell you, it's like, yeah, you got the points here. Right? It's like, did you hit the point? It's the main thing. It's also something I kind of want you to consider. It's like, I'm not a huge stickler for formats for stuff. I'm a stickler for content, making sure you hit the points. You should start watching format as you move through the program, but I'm not necessarily going to hit you real hard for it. Where I'll hit you real hard for it would be like if you went to like the master's program, something like that, and start doing some written work like that, because that's something that's going to be consumed by other people. So it's like, yeah, that's different. If you're going to read it for someone else to read it, you need to be able to read it too, and that kind of thing. Here, it's always about what you earn, and the scrutiny that you want to have. If you want me to increase scrutiny for you, it's like I can do that. It doesn't necessarily have to translate over into grades, that kind of stuff. But I can start increasing pressure if you think that this is too easy. Because there'll be times where you might feel that way. Yeah, let me know that. Late makeup work, what I'll say there is I don't accept it. And I'll say, we're all adults. If you got a reason, it's like, just tell me a reason. I think what it says here is, yeah. If you have a reason, tell me in advance. If you can tell me in advance. Because what you did there is you gave me the gift of time. I don't have much of it. I like that as a gift. If I know in advance, we can move stuff around, adjust course pretty easily. If I find out after the fact, we have to make changes and all that. It's a little bit harder sometimes. Not necessarily harder, but can be. And so if you got something going on, let me know. Tennis is the same way. Be here if you can. If you can't, watch the videos. Just make sure you're talking, because otherwise you're going to lose out some stuff. Communication is key. Yes. Communication policies, same things in etiquette. Policies, student support, complaints, and grade appeal stuff. We should talk about that. Okay, so if you've not already done this, you should do this pretty quickly. Just thumb through any the student conduct code, but student handbook. Just look through its table of contents, so you get an idea for some of the policies and stuff like that you're held to. It's sort of like this syllabus. To some degree, it's a bit contractual in nature. Yes, it's informative, but also it's like this is the agreement here. Same thing for like the student handbook. Your guys' generation, like I thought it was bad for mine. It's gonna be worse as you guys move forward as I get older too. I mean, it's like to kind of put it in perspective. 30 years ago, you had a tobacco pipe, you could smoke it in your office, right? Now you can be outside of the university, you could say something offensive and be held responsible at the university for it, right? That's the kind of stuff you start looking at some places. To know exactly how, what that looks like for you here, when you go look at those things, that way you're aware of that, because that's just good to know. All right, grade appeal. If you've never done that, hopefully you haven't. I've never actually had one. I used to actually schedule those in a different life. Basically, those things look like a trial process. I'm not going to the exact processes here, like what the exact structure looks like here. But usually what ends up happening there is you've got this process that you'll go through. There's an informal and a formal one. Really, you should run them simultaneously. So if you're going to go, you have a problem with a grade or something in class, this is just also the kind of general process if you have any issues. you have any issues with me, it's like, here's where it's gonna get resolved. Go to talk to that person. Right? That's the first thing you should always do. Go to that person directly. If that doesn't work and if you have some indication there's that serious of a problem, you probably know whether or not that's gonna work to some degree. If you think it's not gonna work, there's gonna be a form that goes with this. Take it with you. So that way you don't have to meet with each person once. You don't have to go back there and after you've already met with them and go get their signature again, because that's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's like, yeah, remember how we were talking that thing that really upset you? I decided I'm gonna move forward with it anyway, right? And so it's like, yeah, just avoid that. Just take not that anyone would get upset with that. That's not how it is. It's just sometimes people get real sensitive to that kind of stuff. And just do it easier as easy as you can. So anytime stuff goes out, it's really hard. Very, very rare. If I can tell you, it's like past experiences, past universities. Worst one I ever saw was it was like 10 students who in a single class, it was a graduate level class, all of them failed the class. There was not a single person who passed the class. It's like, ooh, that's not the students. It's like, yeah, that's definitely not the students there. Ooh. So those things, it's like, sometimes there's some very real stuff going on there. Sometimes it's just someone feels like they're graded unfairly. It's like, okay, that might be a communication thing. Maybe it was unfair. I can tell you a whole bunch of stories about stuff that I've seen related to that too. But for the benefit of time, I won't do that. So there's the process, has to be done by the student. Here's timeline policy, that kind of stuff here. Also make sure you read the syllabus like it's a textbook. Actually sit there and read through it because I will know if you don't. I put something in all my syllabi so that way I know people actually look through it. This year it's actually in common across all the classes. You don't even send one email, but all that stuff's in there if you look at it and read it. Calendar with due dates right here. And so basically what it is I've got it broken down by chapters per week. Usually what happens in my classes, I start out slower because I'm laying groundwork for conversations to take place. All these things scaffold together. So as we start talking about base issues, really before we even get into chapter 1, you'll find that some of the conversations we have in chapter 1 we're already primed for. By the time we start getting into these later chapters, it starts moving a lot faster because it'll be like things we're already talking about. So we don't need to rehash that one, but remember that conversation we had? Yeah, that thing's gonna apply over here. Okay, good. Beyond that, let's see, that takes care of that. If I look over here in it's the Blackboard itself. Chapter 1's available there, so you can look at that stuff. Let me see what conflicts are in here right now. Police and society. Why do we have police? So basically, talk about legitimacy, transparency, that kind of stuff. Why we have police. Very basic stuff. So what I'll do is we'll start coming in from a philosophical perspective, and I'll explain why we have that as a function. And you'll see as life itself comes in, it's like the regulation aspects of things. We definitely need to keep an eye on that. With that, do you guys have any questions? Okay, cool. That's a lot of information, I know. But usually, this is something I talk about. Usually what I do is, depending on the classroom size, it's like, we don't have time in the next like 8 minutes to finish this, but I usually like to do introductions so I can start to get to know everybody. So I can start to try to put names and faces together. I can remember faces, I can remember names. They don't meet. My memory is best way I've heard it put. It's like a steel trap. It's rusty, doesn't work. It's shut, whatever's in there's in there. It's not coming out and ain't nothing new going in. But we'll do that next class, kind of get to know everybody a little bit. And something I will have basically all my classes do over the course of this semester, this first week or two. Kind of give me an idea for a little bit about you. And I'll send you probably an email or something like that in advance of next class, maybe during next class. Because what I want to know about you is a little bit about you, what your goals are, what you want to get, that kind of stuff, both in terms of program classes, that kind of stuff. So we can start looking at that. One of the big things I want to start looking at is it's like, yeah, you involve yourself in this process, and time's baked in. People try to go real fast though, and when they start doing that, it's like you stop looking at that transformative element that takes place across time. And so we want to show you that change, how to maximize that change. But we'll get into that when we get into that, and you'll start seeing that. Anything else we need to talk about today? I'll say one more thing. I've got a link in here for the Blackboard where it says email. Don't use that. If you're in any of my classes, I don't know how well that thing works. What'll happen is if you send an email that way rather than through standard Gmail, Google, it doesn't necessarily notify me that they're there. In fact, if I look over here, it still shows me a 1, and I've actually read it a couple times. Messages, 1, what's it in? It's gonna be this research methods class. Oh, maybe that's a new message. I don't know, I didn't mean to click that one. Show me the message. Yeah, so that's. Nope, that's an old one. See, that one's from December of last year. But why is that popping up? I know I've read that one before. Why is it popping up again? I don't know. Don't send messages through that. I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. And so if you need me, it's like you got other ways to reach me. Use those. With that, I don't have any questions. You guys have anything comes up, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you all Wednesday. Cool?
Perfect.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Thank you too.
Talk to you later. Bye. See you later.